This Hojo response is a fatal mistake. The armies, both of these armies, turn on the Hojo. Nita Yoshisada turns his army and sacks Kamakura, destroys the Hojo there. The Hojo are also, they can no more count on the support of the Ashikaga. The Ashikaga army continues to move west, but goes and destroys a Hojo base at Rokuhara, which is near Kyoto. That's a location from which they controlled Kyoto. And so both of these nodes of Hojo power are crushed. Hojo are forced, they're defeated. The Hojo are, the leadership in Kamakura is forced to commit suicide. That's what you see this person about to do here. A word on samurai and suicide, slitting open of the belly, especially seppuku or harakiri. We've already talked about it in the context of when women were supposed to do this, when basically they were about to be captured. But men were also supposed to do this as well. They cut open their belly. They usually had a second, that is, a person who helped them do this. When they had made an incision into their stomach, the second was supposed to strike off their head to end their suffering. It's kind of a way to demonstrate that you're willing to put yourself through unbearable pain, but also a mechanism for you to not really suffer more than you absolutely had to. This was, it was done when you feared capture, as in the case of the Hojo in Kamakura. It was also done, though, interestingly, as a way to escape the worst effects of something that is completely dishonorable. If you have committed an offense that you knew could not be expunged, you had the option, unless the Lord was very strict and ordered you murdered or killed, you had the option of committing ritual suicide. What this did is it killed the dishonor with you, so that your descendants could go through life with a clean slate if the Lord was willing to allow this. Sometimes it can be considered that the suicide expunged your own dishonor as well, but even if that's not the case, then at least your descendants could be protected from your bad acts. But back to this narrative of the Hojo. Why on earth did two of their armies, led by two of their most trusted vassals, turn on them? Well, there were some of the grumblings that, and these are very important, that were a result of the Mongol invasion. But these were made much worse and should be viewed alongside more systemic factors. The Hojo were not good at sharing power, as I've mentioned before. They certainly did not consult in any meaningful way with the Minamoto shoguns. These shoguns are still around, but we can see that they're basically puppets for the Hojo. They certainly didn't consult with the imperial family, which is to be expected if the imperial family is as compromised and as weak as it had been before Go-Daigo's machinations. In 1221, we remember, in the Joki War, they were defeated, and the Hojo didn't really consult with them, but for most of the time that could be ignored, although certainly Go-Daigo did provide the spark for all of this. Worst of all, the Hojo did not, after a while, consult with their own vassals in any meaningful manner, these gokenin. That is a legal category of samurai now, according to the code that the Hojo themselves wrote, who have certain things that they can expect from their lords. One of these things is the right of audience, or the right to, or the expectation that they would from time to time be counseled on important affairs, but certainly the obligation of the Lord to rule fairly. And there was a wide-ranging perception amongst samurai that the Hojo were not reigning fairly. They were just not interested in sharing power. Karl Friday, his description of the Wada rebellion, I think illustrates this very well. Wada felt basically slighted by the Hojo and said, well, okay, if I can't get any satisfaction through official channels, I'm just going to rebel and kill you all. He failed. Nitta and Ashikaga succeeded, however, and the Hojo were finished. They briefly managed to recapture Kamakura a few years later, but they lost it soon afterwards. It was a desperate effort, and they were done. And by 1333, basically, by the time that the Hojo are really destroyed, events do take their course, or by the time that they're driven out of Kyoto and Kamakura. In 1333, Go-Daigo abolishes his rival emperor. The Kogon emperor said, you know, I was never really deposed. The Kogon emperor, that guy, he was never really emperor, and you all like that or shut up. And he does something that immediately angers many samurai. This was a big mistake, but this was also part and parcel of what he wanted his restoration to be about. And that is to say, he appoints his son, Prince Morinaga, as Seitai Shogun, to the office that the samurai were expecting would be filled by one of them, the great barbarian subduing generalissimo. And he appoints Ashikaga Takauji, his most important supporter, to a lesser military rank, not shogun. Takauji is supposed to answer to Morinaga. Big mistake, very big mistake. In 1336, as I mentioned, some remaining Hojo forces recapture Kamakura, and they're thrown out, and Takauji is sent to defeat them. He's the one that throws them out of Kamakura. In 1336, he does this, and then he says, you know, Go-Daigo, to hell with you. I am now the person who is going to be shogun. I have an army with me. And I'm ready to make my argument personally to you. And he essentially goes to war against Go-Daigo, and he defeats him. He also defeats Nitta Yoshisada in the process. Ashikaga Takauji, excuse me, he enters Kyoto, and he picks another royal, and he makes this guy the new emperor and says, Go-Daigo, you are no longer emperor.